Well, here we are. We've got the Winkeyer, came in the mail today. It is box, screws, pieces, it is a board, and battery compartment. Okay, I've got my little Weller iron on. I've got, I heard you're not supposed to use water. I heard that it causes thermal shock, and so it's better to use something like this. Use the cleaner to do your soldering, and then don't put it in water or something. Put it in, this is like a copper Brillo pad. And then, of course, they do not send you instructions. You have to, you can use your laptop though. So I have my laptop here. You know, I should turn on the radio and just listen to CW while I'm doing this, but I'm making a video. So this little tool, this little gadget here, I got a long time ago. I don't even remember where I got it, but this holds your part board while your circuit board while you're putting things together. So as I may have mentioned, this is the Winkeyer USB, and I would take this a lot more seriously if this was a more complex project, but I think this is a pretty easy project. If you are thinking about doing your first, by the way, this is ham radio right here. This is where by getting into ham radio, I learned how to solder. It's really fun, it's really easy, it's very rewarding. You get a kit like this and they literally tell you step by step how to do this. And I'm not going to do everything on video. You see how they show you the board that you have here, same board, and they tell you the pieces and what it should look like. They tell you all the dangers and things, so you just do it step by step. And then learning to solder was real easy. You just basically, all you really have to do is when you solder two things together, you wouldn't do what I'm doing right now, but you just heat the two elements up at the same time and then put the solder in, and it melts, and just like that, the solder melts and it creates a good joint. All you have to do is make one good joint, and you know how to do it. It's real easy. Really, soldering is fun and easy. If you have never done it, I highly recommend it. It's very satisfying. Let's get this Winkeyer put together so we can practice Morse code. So if I didn't mention it, this is a USB key. It's designed so you can put your regular Morse code key into this device. You put your key in here, and then this goes from USB to your computer, and then from there many different programs can help you. Different types of software programs can help you practice, or they can help you go into your radio or software for your radio. It just opens up a lot of doors. But I got this for practice, and I'll be doing videos later on how to use this and how Now, I've never had the pleasure of working with this device right here that holds your kit in place. I mean, it makes things so easy. What you need both hands free. So I'm going to put the first piece on here. This is a little connector, the J1 they call it, and it's a jack for the key, I believe. So you can see, maybe, all I have to do, see, if I didn't have that tape on here, it would fall off, and it needs to sit flush against there, so I just use tape. I have a clamp somewhere. Normally I use a clamp, but I lost it. I would just clamp that down, but anyway, let's get this piece on here. And so you touch the two things at the same time that you're soldering together. Let it heat up for a bit. My hand is shaking. Now the bigger the piece, you also need to tin your tip. It needs to have a little tin on the end of it, generally, and it will come a lot faster. If it's not tinned, it doesn't seem to heat up. So you get the two pieces at the same time, you put the solder in there like that, you create a good spot, and that's it. You've got one piece done. Now it's got 3 connections, so I'll go ahead and do the other 2. The bigger the metal you're doing, the longer it takes to heat up. You'll figure that out real fast when you do a big piece sometime. You'll need a bigger soldering iron, but I'll tell you, using this holding device is really nice. Now, you got to kind of check and make sure you don't have what's called a cold solder These all look good. They look, I'm flush against there. I don't need this tape anymore. And now we can move on. So the second part is J6. So the second part would be the USB connector. Okay, so it says to be very careful with them because on the USB connector you've got some pieces here that are very close together. These are so close together it would be easy to accidentally bridge across there, but the instructions on here kind of overwarn, I think. They kind of overwarn you. And I'm like, I mean, you should know you don't want to bridge those. So I'm going to use a piece of tape again. You have to make sure everything is really flush because, you know, it'd be easy to get one side sticking up too far. So I do this because I only have 2 hands. Alright. Now, because this is very small, you have to be very careful. I'm going to go ahead and put on the big one to hold it. Let it heat up. 2 parts at the same time. You do have to be careful. Sometimes if you heat things too long, the metal deep inside there that's touching will get so hot it'll start to melt some of the plastic. I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but it's a consideration. So I don't feel like I'm tinned. I'm going to go ahead and it takes a little while to heat up. You also do not want to breathe that smoke. They recommend that you have to use a fan, but do not breathe that smoke. I heard it's very poisonous. I'm going to go ahead and film almost everything, so go ahead and skip ahead if you're bored. I understand. Why not make a whole video though? Alright, here's where I have to be real careful. Easy to make a bridge. I almost want to use a smaller gauge. See, it doesn't take much on these little bits. I almost want to use a smaller gauge solder. Now when this is over, when I'm done here, I'm going to check and make sure very carefully that I didn't bridge any of these soldering tips. I'm going to come in from this direction. My solder this is too thick. I need to have a smaller one. Let's zoom in on that and see what it looks like. Did I create a bridge? I know I didn't, but I'm going to check. Whoops. Looks good to me. So on the little piezo speaker, it's only got 2 prongs, but there's actually 4 holes, but it tells you only 2 will fit, and there's a picture of it on the diagram anyway, so I know that it just needs to do that. Take a piece of tape to hold it down. Flush. Flush. Now this would be very easy. It's very fine, very small. This would be very easy to solder. You know, I could go a lot faster if I wasn't filming this, but oh well. I think I actually need a finer tip on my soldering iron. Because the tip seems too fat. It needs to be finer, but it does the job. End of the day, as long as you got that solder on, both pieces have to be hot, heated up, feel like that guy that does the paintings that used to be on TV. He used to say, "Now there's a beautiful mountain. We just need to paint, and it just comes out." Now what you can do is, and I might do this at the very end, is if you'll notice there's a little, these pieces stick out here when you put them through, is you'll cut all those off later. I won't do that now. I'll just check it, make sure everything looks good. Take the tape off. We have step 1 done. See the instructions? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's that easy. They tell you, they show you. It's that easy. I'm telling you guys. By the way, I did not get paid. I did not get sent this. I'm not making anything free. I'm not making any money from this video other than the ads, which should probably be very little. Okay, now step 2 is just put 4 buttons. These 4 buttons go in this configuration to make sure they're flush. Yeah, they kind of snap in almost. The buttons don't matter. I don't think the buttons matter which direction they go. They're just basically a switch. So cool, man. Building your own stuff. Now I know I'm only building part of it, obviously. I could never build this printed circuit board PCB, but it's still pretty cool that, you know, having this skill is just awesome. When you do ham radio, you end up doing soldering. I mean, usually you make your own antennas and your own clamps, your own connectors, that kind of thing. But, you know, I might be talking to people that already know how to solder, but you never know. Maybe you don't. And these are, I don't think I need to tape these. You see they're already snug, so we just have 16 of these to do. Should be easy peasy. Probably sitting there thinking, is he really going to show soldering 16 pieces? It's funny how people, I'll get comments, I guarantee you, that I did this wrong. And most people are pretty constructive, you know. They tell you did it wrong, and they're right. If they're right and they're nice about it, that's cool. But then there's always those people that are just, "Man, you're such an idiot, I can't believe you're making it," you know, those kind of people. Those people get blocked. Those people, every time I go to their channel, 99% of the time they do not have any videos. The other 10% of the time they probably have like 4 videos, and those 4 videos are unwatchable. That just, you know, I'm just thinking out loud while I'm doing this. But it's funny how it's so consistent. You know, I don't like how I'm doing this and I'm leaving these little burn marks in the plastic on the board. You kind of have to do that. I mean, unless you have a finer tip and you're really serious about it. It's just one of those things that kind of bugs me that when I do it. So, oops, I missed one. You want to keep your heat away from those chips. I forgot what you call them. Whoa. That smoke went into there, kind of scary. Yeah, keep the heat away from the chips, obviously. Sensitive parts. They come with these pre-soldered because they're way too fine for your average person to do. What do they call that? Pre-soldering, or I don't know. They come with those fine things, and I guess what happens is there's a cost to doing this. Somebody has to do this, and so you get this item cheaper if you do it yourself. That's the way I see it. That's the only way I figure that. I don't know why they don't just do this, you know. Why do we do it? I don't mind it. It's kind of fun. But I always wondered why. Is it because they just want us to have this feeling of satisfaction, or is it because it's just cheaper? I think it's cheaper because I think what you do is you design your circuit board. You can design your own, by the way. You send in a certain type of format and you tell it exactly what you want, however complex, and then you print out so many of them, and you can buy them, and then all you have to do from there is just get all the parts, and then you've got a product you can ship out. So that's how it works. You have somebody print these boards, and they may even pre-solder these with like a computer or robot or something. You buy all these parts and then you sell it as a kit. I think that's how it works. So now I did 16 of these. I'm going to kind of eyeball it and check. This thing, by the way, if you ever use one of these, is a piece of junk. I don't like it. It's just too weird. But I do like you need a magnifying glass. It's really nice to get in there and see. All right, let's move on. All right. So it tells you which one is which. There's a red button. And the rest are black. Don't even know what these buttons do yet. There's the waterfall again. Niagara Falls. I think those are on good. Ah. Someday I'll tell you how I made this workbench. It's real easy. I bought a kit on Amazon. It's been, I bought it for this exact reason, for soldering. Okay, so we're at this part now, and it's kind of funny. The instructions say, please make sure that all 6 connector pins are on the board. We have had problems, or people have had problems. It's very easy to install the connector hastily and have one or more of the pins bend and not make it through. We have had several reports of problems with this connector. In other words, people rush through it or something. I don't know. I don't get why that would be hard. So there's 6 pins down there, see? It also says to put a little glue on here, which I did. A couple places. 6. All of those have to go through. I don't get why that's so hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put a little more glue here because this is kind of flimsy. You see how this would bend back and forth? You need to add a little glue there. I like a good silicone based glue. I got that from a ham a while back. It told me silicone glue is good. Depends on your application, of course. Alright, now we solder. I don't even see me using these RCA jacks. I don't see me doing it. I don't get why they're there yet, but we'll figure it out. Now, if you stayed with me this long, this means you're probably going to do this project. I would tell you to give this video a thumbs up, but that's kind of cheesy, isn't it? People give you a thumbs up whether you remind them or not. I don't know if it helps. It probably does help a little bit in the YouTube algorithm ranking, but only serious hardcore ham radio people are going to watch this video, right? Who's going to watch this video? How many Morse code, ham radio, soldering interested kit people are there left in the world? 7 or 8? Alright, it looks good. I'll snip all the ends off later. Now it said it says it greatly improves the stability if you have glue down here on this corner. It says just a small dab, but I don't know. I'll do it. Why not? Good thing about glue is that it should not be conductive, so you don't have to worry if it kind of spills over. There. Sorry if you couldn't see that. That's pretty cool. It says you are actually complete. You're done with the project. It says, though, we're not actually done. It just says you have been completed. That's how easy it was. It's very... I put together the radio, the KX1, and that took me days. I had to be very careful. By the way, if you don't have a tool like this, a very fine wire stripping tool, this thing is awesome. So what we have to do is create some wires to attach the potentiometer. We'll solder that to the board, two wires, and they go to two parts of the board. You have to be careful which one's which, of course. So we use our wire strippers. It only came with one little wire for this, so I had to reach in my bin and get my own wire. Not a big deal. It said 2 7-inch lengths. Alright, easy, easy. So for this part we're doing J2. We're getting these 2 7-inch lengths of wire, and they need to go in the top, or I don't know if it matters. So I'll go in through the top and here and solder that real quick, and these will go to the potentiometer. It's separate from the board. I'm going to be kind of lazy. I don't want to tape this down, so how do I hold that there without taping it down? Like that. Someone commented on one of my videos, and they told me about this, and I thought, oh my god, I have to have that. And the reason I want this is the practice. I want sending practice. Something I'm weak at. I thought it'd be a fun build, it would be a good video to make. I would get practice at the same time, so it was a win-win-win. I can use this on my computer and I don't have a radio. Okay, that was J2. Now we have 2 lengths of wire that need to go to the potentiometer. But there's 3 things here, so I have to figure out which ones they go to. Okay, so we've got our potentiometer to solder, and I have it kind of held down in place. We have 2 wires going here. Kind of tricky. Cool thing about having a workbench is I don't care if I burn it a little bit. Soldering this stuff is easy because it's little and it heats up really fast. If you've ever tried to solder something that's big, a big old clamp or something, it takes forever to heat up because it's so big, the heat dissipates. So now, you know, I know I double checked that I've got this right, and it tells you exactly on the instructions, so there's no way to mess it up. I don't know where this is going to go, but this part's done. We're almost done. Alright, well, let's keep it going. We got okay, now we have the battery supply, and that simply goes to red positive, black negative. Man, this is so fun. Seriously. So sometimes you can just bend these a little bit in the back and they'll stay. You don't have to worry about them falling out, you know, because it's upside down like that. Oh man, this board holder is awesome. If you do any soldering at all, I highly recommend it, because see how you need 2 hands to do this? It's the first time I've ever even used this. That's why I love tools. I love to have the tool because you never know when you're going to need it. Probably have more tools than I need. But I have them forever and I can give them to my kids. Because I'm sure my daughter's going to want to solder radios. That was a joke. Careful, these things are sharp. If you do this in like a living room and you go back and step on these things. When I was a kid, my parents had a women's clothing store and I would run around barefoot all the time and I would step on needles in the back of the store all the time. It got so commonplace that just the second I stepped on a needle, I would know it. Yeah, I stepped on at least 20 needles in my youth. You'd think I would have learned though. To this day, every time I see a needle in the living room, I'm like, get that thing in the trash. Either use it or get that thing in the trash. I do not allow needles anywhere near the carpet because stepping on them sucks. Okay, so that part's clean. Everything is done. All we have left to do is put the knobs in and put it in its case. And of course you're going to want to kind of double check and make sure every solder's done. Make sure no bridges were made. This being such an easy project compared to like a radio or something where there's hundreds of things you have to put in, I think we'll be okay right now. You can always take it apart later too. I'll tell a little quick story. When I did my KX1, I got to the very end and it didn't work. I was furious. I was so mad. I'd spent hours and hours and hours. I almost threw the thing away in disgust, but my Elmer took it from me and he decided he'd look at it, and he noticed that in the toroid I had a wire go around it instead of through it. I didn't know the wire had to go through it. He did that. It worked great. Oh my god, I seriously was the happiest radio day of my life when he figured that out. Alright, we look good. Let's move on. Now you're kind of on your own. There's no really instructions on this part. I really don't know what I'm doing right now. Okay, so you get 4 screws. Alright, this is easy enough. You screw this in and then you put the top on. The buttons have to go all the way through. There. Once that's screwed down, it'll be a lot better. Right. So the instructions kind of leave you hanging here, but I figured out that the potentiometer comes in here and there's a little lock piece right there that kind of slides there, and then you have to take this off, which is originally attached here. You have to unscrew it, put it through the wall, and then screw this back. So make sure that potentiometer is locked in there in that little piece, and tighten it down. Okay, I got the 2 halves together. It was a little tricky. Still need to screw it together. It's a little confused at first because it's beeping. I don't know if it's on or what, but I can barely hear it. I don't know if it's working or not. It's time to put the screws on, and then the potentiometers. See, I don't know if it's got a battery in it, so is it going to run out of battery? Does it stay on, or 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was the build process. Probably 20 minutes. And probably could have done it faster if I wasn't filming and I was trying to hurry. Wasn't trying to hurry. Still don't know if it works yet. This was the build video. I'm going to be doing more videos on this, especially if I have a problem I might make a video on, especially if I fix a problem. After this, I'm going to work with it. My next videos coming up will be how to use it, how I like it, and you know, that kind of stuff. Look and feel. There's a little screw here that keeps this from slipping off. So right now all I know is that it beeps when you hit the buttons. I have no idea why. Gotta go read the instructions. It comes with a program that you run that tests it. It has like a test module. Make sure you did it right, I guess, for rubber feet. Now I think the build is 100% complete. Does it work? I have no idea. Don't know what I'm doing. Next video. Thanks for watching.